Eventbrite marketing SEO. Sell online tickets organically. If you have used Eventbrite before, this is the space for you, because I have talked about Eventbrite for a couple of years, and this is the third time I believe I'm talking about it, but this is going to be like the most extensive way I've brought it up, because every other way was either subliminal or just pretty much related to, based on, factors that were connected to Eventbrite. But this is going to be like the first official Eventbrite marketing SEO that I would talk about. Why am I bringing Eventbrite up in the first place? Because I've been looking at some research, and Eventbrite is an amazing platform where you discover events, you connect with people, you create your own personal events, and you put it out there for people to show up. And people look locally around, what event's going to be the best for them. Are they going to show up online? Are they going to show up in person? What's going to be the mix? Is it a hybrid? What's the agenda? What's the goal? What's the plan? All that good stuff. And that's all you're creating to make sure you have an eventful experience. So Eventbrite is going to be that vehicle that's going to bring you to that spotlight, where you as a business owner can now take Eventbrite and say, okay, if I'm going to use Eventbrite for business marketing, or if I'm going to use Eventbrite for workshops, seminars, for in-person events, virtual events, then I know that I'm going to use Eventbrite to market my product. And when I'm going to use Eventbrite specifically, it's going to be to the benefit of the searcher. That's the key word here, because we can put events online all day, but how many people are going to see our event? If there's one, let's say, for example, there's an event on how to cook a certain type of meal, right? Let's say people are, coming together because they want to cook. Let's say they want to make lasagna, right? And just giving a random example, and it's lunchtime. So somebody wants to make lasagna and people want to learn how to make it in different ways. So if I already cook lasagna at home, then I know that if I see a workshop that is 5 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles, maybe even 20 miles, depending on how far you want to drive, will make you want to go there because you've probably watched a video, which was a trailer that they put. I'm giving you strategies as I'm giving this example, and it's hypothetical, but apply the principle too. When you have an Eventbrite that comes in with a video attached in form of a YouTube link, which Eventbrite already gives you, then you're using Eventbrite to showcase your event. When you do that, your event is now going to be the pillar of content that allows somebody to decide on how they want to interact with your brand by either purchasing a ticket for free, or getting the VIP, or getting something complimentary, or getting something that is within your mix of incentives. Now, when you're creating Eventbrite marketing SEO specifically for tickets and selling online, the most important thing that you should not forget, and you should always keep in mind every single time, this is something that if I don't say this now, it will be a disservice to you. The first and foremost thing for you to do with Eventbrite when you are setting up an event is to highly consider the title of your event. And the title of your event is also going to be in the format of the keywords that you're putting within the event title. So for example, if it's lasagna, then I'm going to have cooking classes or cooking virtual classes, lasagna, right? Now, it may sound very basic, but you can always beef it up. But just to give you the context of where I'm going with this is that you want to place keywords in motion that allow your event to be found through search. Why? Because when you hit publish on Eventbrite, this is why I'm talking about this, and this is why this is very important. When you hit publish, if I wrote cooking, let's say eventbrite.com/ whatever the number or alphanumeric character would be, to towards the end or wherever it's going to be within the pathway, the specific URL that's going to be there that's going to be unique to your event is going to be /cooking-classes-lasagna. So when you have that, if somebody is near you, or if you're near them, or if you've created an event for them and they're looking for cooking classes near me, or lasagna cooking classes near me, because that's very specific. That's how people will be searching for things. If it's turkey, they're going to search for turkey cooking classes, or turkey baking classes, or cookie baking classes. However they're going to create those key terms is going to be based on how you're going to deliver it back to them. So when you create it organically, the goal is to put your title first. So whatever that class is going to be about, put it there. If it's a financial class, a real estate class, a cooking class, a marketing class, whatever class, it needs to be the subject first, because without that subject being first in line, you're putting it at the end. So let's say I put in lasagna, mac and cheese, and then I put cooking classes at the end. It could work, but the problem now is you've reversed the motion, because you've created a slug, a URL, a uniform resource locator that has put the location of the cooking classes at the end of your slug as opposed to the beginning of your slug. When you put it at the beginning of your slug, welcome Sunny, Neja, and Danny. When you put it at the beginning of your slug, that is allowing you to become first in line for the key term that people search with when they first type it on Google, or when they type it on ChatGPT, or when they type it on Pinterest, or when they type it on Eventbrite. When you see the typing that they're going to create from the result that they want, they're going to be very specific. If it's dancing classes, if it's Kung Fu classes, those are going to be the exact keywords that people are going to be seeing in the search results. So organically, this is something that if you miss the mark, if you miss the first point, you've missed the whole plot, ideally, because you still get a target, you still get welcome Ife, you still get results, but those results would be differed and they wouldn't be as highly visible and also highly effective as though it would if it were placed at the beginning as opposed to at the end of the slug. So Eventbrite is very specific. And one thing I love about Eventbrite, which a lot of businesses or companies, events, they do, but Eventbrite has held the fort for a long while, is that even after the event is over with Eventbrite, the link is still active. It's going to say the event has ended, right? Technically, you can't really go to that event. That's just the truth. The event is over, but the link is still active. So if that link still has your YouTube video in there, it has your website link in there, it has your LinkedIn link in there, it has URLs in there that are hyperlinked to the anchored text that value the keywords that you want to rank for and show up organically, then that's how you're able to sell online tickets organically using Eventbrite marketing SEO tactics. I'll give you an example, actually 2 examples. And this is what we did with clients in a span of, this is 2026, so that was 3 years ago. Another one was just, welcome Seti. Another one was just this year. Last quarter. So Q4 2025 into Q1 2026. So I'll start off with the old one and then I'll come to the new one. So 3 years ago, we worked with an amazing client that wanted to build wreaths. And these are beautiful things that you can make. They're woven and you can turn them into amazing decorations, and I'll call them interior assets, for your space. and people love to make them, right, during the holiday season. And this was between Halloween in October through Thanksgiving in November into Christmas, December. And we did it 3 times. The first time, nobody signed up, nobody came, it was a flop. It was just not it. But the reason why, and this is why I love to test these case studies, because you have to test them out. And the reason why it flopped is because I didn't get to hear about it until it was 2 weeks to the event of the day that was scheduled. And I said, we'll still do it, but I'm not sure that we're going to be guaranteed of getting people to come in, because usually the sweet spot is 3 weeks. And if you're below that threshold, it's going to be hard for the algorithm to pick it up, because organically speaking, any search engine that you think about has that 3-week span as well. So if you're really building, think about it like a 21 to 30-day calendar year, so that in between that, if you really covered 3/4 of the month, then you already covered a large percentage of the pile or the market share. So when you start looking at it from Eventbrite perspectives, it's very important to think about, if you have an event, whatever time of the year it is, consider the week and then date it back. So with this client, we decided and said, you know what, next event, because I didn't know about this until 2 weeks prior, I said, this next one we're going to do is going to be done a month ahead of time. That's now 4 weeks. So we scheduled an event 4 weeks ahead of time. It was about $25 per person. And it was a very small event because she wanted just 8 people. And these were just 8 people that she wanted to have there, because the capacity was up to 8. So we're not trying to fill up the room. So I asked about the capacity and everything, and we got the details and we secured it, and we said, okay, let's put it out there. Let's do the marketing. So we now decided to launch it out, be very specific about the wreaths. She had a video. She actually had to record a nice, amazing 4K video. It was beautiful, and showing people how she made hers, showing people what she's going to do, how is the workshop going to look like. Seeing is believing, right? You want to know who you're going to, especially if it's an event you've never gone to. It's your first time. You don't know who you're going to see. You don't know who you're going to meet, because there are other people that are going like you that have never been there. So it's going to be like a lot of tension going on, right? So, and it happens. Welcome, Elaine and Jimmy. When you think about this long term, your goal and perspective and your positioning as a business should be, how can we take this event and make it one of the best experiences? It's not about how many tickets were sold. It's how many people came, saw, went back, and came back again. And for you to come back again, it requires a lot of planning. So we're going to dive deeper into this as well. Hey, Sunny, welcome to the room. Thank you for being
Hi,
here.
thank
Hi.
you. I just have a quick question so far. And thank you for setting up this room. I have a small marketing agency, and I cut my teeth early on with Eventbrite. So this was really hitting home with me. Could you just please re-clarify, because I might have missed it? Was this a brick and mortar, or like was she doing it in a physical location where they went somewhere, or was she going to be doing it online, like from the comfort of her own home?
Yes, so she decided to choose a location, and we wanted to look through the whole detail piece. And what we did is found a location that was outside her home, that was a central location everyone could meet at, and the capacity was up to about 8 people. So when she secured the location, paid for the venue, now she had a brick and mortar that people could drive through and park and come in and have a good time, but it was all planned out just like you'd plan out a conference. So everything was done outside, but it was done in a strategic way that allowed her to be able to sell enough to make sure that she could fill up the room based on the targets that we set for the objective in the campaign.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome, Sunny. Thank you for the question. I hope that gives people some clarity. Hey, Tarika, it's good to see you. It's been a while. Hey, DJ, Perry, as well. It's good to have you, and Anon. Appreciate you for being here too. Them in the future, how are we going, where are we going with this stuff. So when I look at events, the event platforms like Luma, If you've ever heard of Luma before, that's another great platform that you can use for events. Great platform. Just giving it to you. Luma. Just type in Luma. It's usually lu.ma, but you always see it as a place for events and, creating amazing aesthetics for your events. Now, with this client, we used Eventbrite and we decided to put it out there as well as $25 each, right? And technically, whenever we run ads and we connect with businesses, we always say this, because I've always said this on my podcast show, we don't play podcast.com, that every time that as a business, you're putting out ads or running ads, if you are, always think about the cost and the acquisition within a 2 to 5x limit. It can go above that and beyond into infinity. That's great. More power to you. But if you want to start thinking about benchmarks, you start looking at it from 2 to 5. So we decided, you know what? Let's put it in a way that if she's able to secure this at a capacity, let's build up the threshold and see where we can get to. Because if we're going to get one customer to pay $25, then we need to spend just on the basic side. Like, we're not even trying to break the bank. We're just testing. Our goal is not to splurge. It's to test and identify, evaluate, and then bring a report and use analytics, SEO, and visibility scores to measure that intent and make sure the search signals are matching the actual person. Because you also have to qualify the leads. It could be 10 random people, 20 random people, but you want to have 8 quality people, and that's what we're looking for. So we decided we're going to do this in a very simple way. And we decided after the video was recorded, we put everything together. We made sure the agenda was put into place. We now said, okay, the next thing we're going to do is run the ad at least $5 a day. So that's 5 times 5 in a weekday schedule. That's 25. So we've spent $25 within a Monday to Friday, but we want one person within the week to at least purchase this ticket. She sold out at the end of the day because we put this a month out. And all 8 were secured, and she had at least 2 weeks to prepare. Everybody was getting emails. It was done really well. And
Yay.
it was, yeah, thank you, Sunny. Yay.
Yes. May I ask, were you also running ads like on Facebook or Google, like which platform, or TikTok or what?
So where I was majorly focusing on was Facebook. Hey, Dr. Sharon, good to see you as well. Nero, good to see you as well. We did it on Facebook, and hey, Shiko, we did it on Facebook, and why we did it that way was because we wanted to build out a community. We just didn't want it to be just a one-time thing, because I always think about the 2 types of purchases that are involved every cycle. There are always 2 purchases. There's a pre-purchase and there's a post-purchase. And most times when we look at the purchase schedule or the purchase cycle, it could be 24 hours. It could be 24 days. It could be 24 months. It could be 24 weeks. So those are very specific key terms that we looked into, and we knew that, okay, if we're going to get one customer to pay $25 and we need 8 people, and we sold out within a 2-week period before the next 2-week period came in, then we were very specific on our targeting, because once we figured out the location of where the event was, that was it. We just knew, okay, we need people who can drive within a 1 or less mile radius to about 20 if we can. And that was in Georgia at the time and around Alpharetta. So it was perfect. And I've also lived in Georgia too. So I was like, okay, this makes sense. I'm able to look at the map and do some, geo-targeting. We're able to now look and see what the results would be like. So that's what we saw. And I said, okay, perfect. At that time, I was in California and we're running the ads. I remember that day so well because I was at the mall with my grandma, I was with my uncle. We're just having a good time. And then I got a call. She's like, hey, guess what? So I was like, what happened? She's like, we got our first one. And I was like, what? And I had to pull to the side and I was like, this is exciting. So she told me everything. And from that day, it just started pouring. So within the weekend to the next week of, everything was secure. And we used Facebook to run it. But at the same time, we were very specific. We're not just running ads haphazardly, but we wanted to make sure our target was very specific. And the things that we did to support that was where SEO now came into play, because you can Eventbrite events everywhere. all day long. But at the end of the day, if the goal is not to make sure that they can come back again or refer someone or bring a friend, then was that event a success? That's usually those metrics and litmus tests that we're looking to place. So when we had that success with her, I also told her after the event is done, let's put a QR code that they can scan and they can, fill up a Google form that just to make it simple for everybody. Just put a Google form and ask them how the event was with a survey, give them ideas, and we were able to go through that post-evaluation process and we're able to do it again for the third time. So we had 3 events. We failed the first one because she didn't tell me on time that it was about 2 weeks out, and you can't really do that within a 2-week period because people have already planned their budgets at the end of the month, probably even before the month started. So all those things had to be put into place, pre-purchase wise. So we had to think about every single detail, and that's how we're able to succeed with that. So that's the first story. So I wanted to mention that, Sunny, and to everyone too.
Oops, I was muted. Thank you. That's awesome. I love a great lead story, lead generation story.
Amazing. Thank you, Sunny. Appreciate you. Hey, Peace, Ishman, and Sophia. Thanks for being here too, and Richard as well. So the second one is more recent. This just happened, 2 weeks ago? No, last week. This just happened last week. That's why I said Q1 2026 back into Q4 2025. This was a free event. This is her first event ever. So she's based in Texas, and she does junk journaling, she does scrapbooking, just amazing things, like really cool, fun stuff that, you have to be in the craft community to be very specifically involved in this type of event. Like if you love football, you're going to be at a football game. If you love baseball, you're going to be at a baseball game. So you got to love this event or this type of event to be even a part of the event to begin with. And you're running events to everybody. So you don't even know anybody because you're running it on a second party platform that you don't own, but you can control. Same thing with Facebook. These are second party platforms. So when you start bringing your first party platform or first party resource, or I can even call it a source of your first party data, which is your website, you can now use that to attribute and create content and also evaluate how successful your ads can be weeks out. So with this client, she hasn't connected her website to Google Search Console. She hasn't connected to anything. Analytics is just on a website, it's just on a platform. And we're like, okay. And this is Wix, by the way. So we've optimized for so many platforms: Magento, WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, Shopify, Duda, Tilda. There are so many out there. And at the end of the day, I just realized, when it comes to web design, building, SEO and AI and all this great stuff that we talk about, it's amazing. And at the same time, it's very specific to how you treat it, because every platform, of course, is different, but there's a way you treat them to make sure that you can achieve those same goals and put them into that perspective. So, for example, with Wix, when you don't have a blog on your website, you don't have a blog sitemap. And what is a sitemap? It's technically the brain of your web page, or I would say the brain of a collection of a section of your page. So let's say you have, because there are 3 layers. There's a website, there's a web page, there's a web link, right? So the sitemap is kind of like, think about it like a floppy disk, just like an RSS feed on a really simple syndication feed. You're having an XML file, which is an expandable markup language file, which is read by search bots, by Googlebot, by Bingbot, by RankBot, by any type of bots that are out there, right? There's BERT, there's MOM, there's so much out there you can put into the ecosystem, or even into the ethos, I may say, right? That's great. You can put all the schema, you can put all the JSON, you can put all this great stuff in there. But here's the kicker. Here's something that's very important. When you don't have a sitemap that is tracking pages, that is indexing pages, that is syncing pages, that is being correctly indexed in a way that is going to apply, because people say, oh yeah, I'm just going to connect my page and index it, and that's great. 2 weeks from now, that same page that you index could be de-indexed. It's possible. I've seen that with clients. We've worked clients that right now we're literally fixing a website that has over 17 million pages, and about 80% of their pages are not being ranked. And now in the last 3 months, we've been able to, switch that over technically with SEO to push that up the curve. So there's a lot we've covered as well. Sonny, you want to say something?
Okay, Favor, you got me on that one. I'm like, okay, hold up. So, is there a way to know whether or not it sounds like you can tell whether or not you've been indexed or de-indexed? Do you mind like explaining that a little bit further because you just blew my mind right there? I've always knew that you're supposed to do best practices when you first get a domain and set up a site, that you're supposed to I think set up the site map is what you're calling it. I'm not an expert at it, but I had no idea that once you set it up, they could de-index it. Do you mind? Come on, you're freaking me out. Can you help me out here?
Oh man, this is exciting. I like how we're geeking out on this. The major thing that I see now is when you have pages, especially with AI, and this is probably the reason why this is happening at a larger trigger effect than before, is because majorly nowadays with AI, within the API system and just how things are built with the LLMs, the large language models, we know that with AI right now, when you don't have something called last mod updated, which is last modified on your schema within your setup, your HTML setup, within your baseline, just the effect of everything happening just for the purpose of your website gaining momentum. If you're not putting that last mod and it's not being identified within your sitemap, because sitemaps are processed, right? And there's something called tokenization, which is another way of saying a duplicate copy of your website. So if you submit your page to Google has now indexed that page that you tokenized that was published at a specific time. So that time is locked, and that time lock is put within a last modified schema setup or within I'll call it a HTML markup language. Now, when you look at that setup and you're seeing that happen where within the sitemap it says, last mod, this date, and that's the date that it's always been and it's never changed, that's the date that Google remembers or Google is aware of. So if you've manually indexed it to that platform, which is Google, at so date, then that's the same platform and that's the same thing that's going to happen. That's why it's very important let me just say it this way. I'll even give you a baseline. For every one page that you publish, update the last two. That I just want to make it easy. For every one page you publish, update the last two. Because when you hit publish, your last modified changes. So if you have articles you've written in 2022, 23, 24, 25, and now in 26, and by this time, 3 years ago, Q1 2023, there were things that you were doing that was creating content for the purpose of getting attention, retention, and building that over time. The reason why you're de-indexed is because the lifespan of a blog is 24 months. So if you're past 24 months, now you're 36 months in, there's no way your page is going to beat the last page that was updated 2 hours ago. So when you don't have that last modified, it affects the whole I'll call it the whole plot, really, of the platform that you're creating, based on how you're able to let people know about your content, whether it's an event that you have on file, whether you have it on screen, online, in person, wherever it is. Those are things that you have to look at from a technical standpoint so that when people are looking for your content, it allows you to become visible online, because the first thing that happens is your website is the first form of information. If you're looking to let me say it this way. If you're looking for verification on information that you're researching on, there's some factual citations that you're going to use as a factor of evidence, right? So if your website is going to be that front code or that front layer or that front page that people are going to use within a front end basis of understanding, okay, this is the front end offer that this person is giving us. We have an event, this is coming up, and is it real? Is it true? They're going to check your website and say, yeah, we serve this. This is what's happening. Now that has validated because you're linking back to Eventbrite. You're linking back to our webpage. So when you now get de-indexed, it's because you haven't updated that page in a while, and that's when things pretty much reset. That's why the beautiful thing about a podcast compared to a blog, which every time to me is a beautiful experience, is that an XML file, which is an expandable markup language file, is reset, or I can say is last modified or updated based on units. In other words, if I publish this page and update this page, hey, Dr. Fashion, and I get this page, then I know that this specific page has been updated at this specific time, compared to an RSS feed where it's one to all, compared to XML where it's one to one. So if I publish one page, that's it. If I index this page, that's one in the can. But if I use an RSS feed and I update a new episode, it's updating the whole feed. The whole feed, the whole RSS feed is being re-indexed because it's being applied and it's being reset. That's why if you go and change the title of your podcast right now, or change the podcast cover, or change the podcast title, and you reset it again, it's perfectly in place for you to now have a new keyword setting that puts you within the algorithm because you have a new last modified setting. So it's always going back to that last modified. That's why most times people have websites and they're dormant. Right now it's 2026. Some people still have 2025, 2024 copyright. It may not be updated automatically because you may not have that set up, but if it's manually done and it was never maintained, or you don't look back at it, then that's what you're going to get because it's never been updated. So that indexing and de-indexing I was talking about, Sunny, is specifically when it comes to last modifications and how you're able to set that up and also keep that page updated and recent for people to now find it based on traditional and AI search engines. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. I'm like taking notes left and right over here. I'm like, oh my gosh. Thank you so much for breaking that down. I'm not sure I got all of it, but it's enough for me to do a big, do good jumping off point. So I really appreciate you taking the time to explain all that, because it looks as if your credentials, and when you get so good at something that you have a hard time. And tell me if you're wrong, if I'm wrong here, but I know for me, like I geek out so much on the thing that I'm good at that when I meet someone who doesn't know it or talk about it all the time, I just sometimes forget, like they have no idea what I'm talking about, right? And I feel like you are such an expert on these topics. Like my brain is just exploding with goodness over here today. So I really appreciate you, Favour, for opening up the room today very much.
You are welcome, Sunny. It's my pleasure. And I love doing this type of rooms and conversations because it helps me to know what people are thinking, what people are asking, what people are saying. Because if I didn't open this room, I'll never know what you're thinking. I would never have had the opportunity like this. So I don't take these moments lightly because this could be a whole different situation. We could not even be here, so I'm looking at this as an opportunity to connect and build and intentionally show up. So that's why I'm really excited. And after I get off this call, because we're going to be here, for the next 20 minutes before I go, I have a call with Pinterest, and we've been talking for the last couple of quarters just based on our clientele and making sure that we have a successful 2026. So I'm going to be meeting them shortly. And I want to make sure that I did this topic, covered everything that I wanted to say, because I'm going to come back. I've created 30 topics already for the next quarter. So help me God.
Fantastic. Love it.
Thank you, Sunny.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm super intentional about this quarter because I'm seeing a lot of pings about questions, and I'm like, okay, answer this. I just had a call with somebody just about 2 hours ago. She's in the UK. I've talked to 2 people in the UK today.
Oh.
2 people. Yeah, 2 people. 2 completely different people that don't even know each other. And the last one I just talked to, she's pretty much into trademarks because I featured on my podcast show and we had an interview and we just connected off LinkedIn too. So it's a great place for building connections. And today, one of the things that blew my mind, why I'm bringing this up even to begin with, is because when we were talking about this today, and she's in the UK doing all this for clients and for people also globally, capacity, what really struck the most is that a lot of people are creating content, but they are not protecting it. and
Mm-hmm.
there's an actual intellectual property legislation. So
Yeah, it's a whole, again, like a whole like ball of wax. And I think as a like an agency owner and working with clients, just my expertise for the most part is Facebook advertising and paid advertising. I can do a little bit on YouTube and Google, but I wouldn't call me an expert just yet over on that platform. But coming in, like listening to your expertise is fascinating because, like I use ClickFunnels, right? And I'll be in the back and then I'll see like, connect an RSS feed. And I'm just like, what is that? What is an RSS? Why do I see an RSS feed all the time? Like, and I'm so glad that there's people out there that I can call that know what these things are. Because I've had, success. I've had to figure it out. Like I've connected them before, but I don't understand fully what they do, and I've made them work. But I don't like. It's not my wheelhouse. I'm like, what is that? Like, I don't even know what that means. But I hooked it up and I got it to work. But I don't. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's sometimes you just like, I don't know. Help me out. Anybody down there in the audience know what I'm talking about? Like, or is it just me? Like, help me out here.
no, I totally get you. I feel that too. Trust me.
You're like, I'm like, I don't fully understand if I'm going to do it, and it worked. So okay, but but if you were to say, Sonny, what's an RSS feed? I'll be like, you know.
That's why we doing
So
this, because it's very
yeah.
helpful, and I like to make sure that it's understood. And I keep saying it and saying it and saying it and saying it and saying it to the point where I don't even sound like a broken record anymore. I just feel like someone somewhere has not heard it before. So if I say it today, somebody probably will hear it again tomorrow, or somebody else will hear it the
Oh
next
yeah,
day.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the trademark thing, like that, I hear about. Well, I've written a book, actually a couple books, but that's one of the things that always worries me is trademark and intellectual property, and I'm asking my husband, like, hey honey, are we protected if I put TM here? Like, what's the rule? And he has to go Google it. I'm like, are we good? Or like, it's that's just like its own world. Like, I think the trademark and what was the other word you used for that? Was it was like what you called it, content protection, or what would you call it?
No, it was intellectual property.
Yeah, intellectual property. I know there was I don't know, are you familiar with Dan Locke? Yeah, so a couple, like, you might remember a few years ago, back on you, like, I've met Dan Locke in person. I liked him, just in passing. I didn't actually like work with him or anything. I got my picture taken. I thought that was pretty cool. And it was at a funnel hacking live event. I think it was 2019. And so, but like a couple years after that, he filed, I think what I know to be true is that he filed, people were making fun of him or making assumptions of him on YouTube, making YouTube videos about him. So he filed a copyright strike because, are you familiar with this? Where they kept calling him the man in the red suit.
No, I didn't know about the story.
Yeah, so just watching it from a 30,000 foot view was I think what he did, and I'm not fully sure like how it works on YouTube because they kept saying his name. So he trademarked his name, so they weren't allowed to say it anymore on YouTube. And YouTube, Google backed him up. They made it so that anybody who said his name got their video struck. And like, so they had to start calling him the man in the red suit. And it's like swept through. There was a few channels in particular that all they do is like anybody who is online is considered a fake guru. So they would just sit there and tear them apart all the time. And so there was this one YouTuber in particular that was being kind of nasty about it. But it was really interesting to watch him legally file it and have Google back him,
Yeah, these things are very important to factor in. That's why I talk about these things consistently, and just bringing the matters to align people, knowing that you can do all these things, but also plan ahead and also know exactly the right connections, the right people, because you don't know everything. I don't know everything. So the more I know, the more I don't know, and that's what keeps me staying humble, staying connected, stay learning. Because
Right.
it's always a consistent loop that you always learn something new every day, and if you don't learn something new every day, then I don't know what you learned before today. You know,
Right.
there has to be there has to be some type of understanding and some type of capacity. And that's why even bringing this topic, Eventbrite marketing, is important to me, because I see a lot of people trying to get to do these things, and it's hard, but at the same time it's not so hard, and it's possible, but it's just basically understanding the formula, getting it down, and getting to a way that you can understand it. That's why when I mentioned the second client that we're working with now currently, she had 10, she's never done an event before, junk journaling, scrapbooking, that's what she's doing. And I said, hey, find a venue first. And then
Yeah.
her business partner found the venue. And it took about 2 weeks. And we said, okay, finally, we found a venue. And we said, okay, create an Eventbrite account. Like literally, this is scratch, no account,
Yeah.
zero. And we set it up within the event is February 7th. Today is January 14th. And we set this up. Today
Yep.
is, about, let's say 2 weeks ago. This was right before the new year.
Okay.
And we said, okay, let's put it together, let's plan it. And then by next week, we're going to now start it off correctly. And since we had a month out, we said, okay, we're going to put it out, towards the beginning of the year so that we can have a better starting point. And we did that. And she has about 10 slots, which was the goal, because that capacity was also small, just like the one that I talked about that was $25, about 8 of them. But this one is 10 and it's free. So this is, that's why I was giving you guys a free option and a paid option. This is a free
Oh,
option.
nice.
Yeah. So this free option is free, 100%. So somebody who has shown up on Eventbrite for the first time, no profile, no credit, no profile, no avatar, no nothing, has showed up online and now has an event that is near people that are interested in something that they like to do at home by themselves, or with their loved ones, or with their family, or with their friends. So we said, okay, if we want to do this, let's get into market research. We built out the research, and we now said, let's create the account. We created the Eventbrite account. The next thing that happened is we said, okay, 10 slots. Once it hits 10 slots, it's sold out. You can't buy this anymore. So the funny part about this story is that she didn't know she sold out, because
Really?
she didn't know, because we got on the call. It was like about 7 a.m. in the morning. We got on the call and I was like, hey, have you checked your Eventbrite? She's like, no. so I said, okay, check your Eventbrite. So she now went, because she was using 2 screens. So she went to the other screen, she logged in. After logging in, she's like, I was like, what happened? She's like, we're sold out. I said, what? Okay, this is exciting. This is good. I'm like, I was just like, this is very fascinating to watch. So she was already like just joyous, like her mood was already up. She's always in a good
Yeah.
mood, but this just like shot it up to the roof. And I was like, we did it. And then I said, okay, let's look at the analytics, right? Let's actually see them. And then we looked at the people who actually bought the tickets. These are free tickets, by the way, 10 free
Yeah.
tickets. So there's no purchase involved. It's just a conversion by email and confirmation, which is a good thing. So I now asked her, hey, do you know any of these people? That was now my next question, because I want to be sure we're not, it's not your friends and family and everybody and their
Sure.
mom. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to make sure that this was done right and the right people were coming in qualified. So we did everything. And out of 88 page views, I took a screenshot. I'm going to put it on LinkedIn. I just want to talk about this first. There were 88 page views in the dashboard analytics of the Eventbrite, and there were 10 seats sold.
Right on. Right on.
So I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
fantastic. 1 to
thank
10.
you.
Yeah, I know exactly. Good job.
Thank you, Sunny.
Yeah, no, that's and for anybody who's listening who doesn't know why that's amazing, we call it marketing math. I call it marketing math. Like 1% of people who see an ad will usually click through, and of that, 1% are ready. 1 to 3% are ready to take action or purchase right now. So the fact that he was able to get, like 1 in 8, and instead of 1 in 10 or 1 in 50 or 1 in 100 is amazing. That means you had great ad copy and exciting message on the front and you got in front of the people that you really wanted, like the right people saw the right ad, and you lined up all 3 things ahead of time, and that's the stats don't lie. And that's what I like about marketing math.
I love marketing math. You geek out on that a lot.
Yep.
You do. So it's very exciting to see, and thank you very much. I looked at it and I told her, hey, now you have an event to plan. And now the problem is not who's coming. Then the problem is, are they going to come back? So we now switch gears and we said, okay, next thing we're going to do now is make sure that, like I talked about the first time with the first client I mentioned in this case study, the second time now for her, when it happens, I told her, let's create a QR code, let them scan the code. Same thing. If it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Right.
you know Let them sign up, have the survey, make sure it's very intentional about how the experience was. Would they come back? And then also ask them, would they come back if it was paid? So it's now consent. It's no longer a sale. It's an agreement, right? And that's
Right.
when it's softer. It's more in I'll call it in suit as opposed to just blank and like, okay, fill in the blank and this is what we're paying. Okay, cool. But these 10 people, she could end up having all 10 people VIP. It's possible.
Yep.
She could have it. Now the ball is in her court. So for when it comes to marketing, some people say, oh, it's a marketing problem. It's the marketing's fault. It's the marketing manager's fault. It's the marketing specialist's fault. It's nobody's fault. The fault begins with the message.
Yep.
And if the message is wrong, everybody is confused.
Yep.
So nobody is
100%.
winning.
100%. In fact, to that point, I have a friend of mine I'm in Idaho, and my friend's in Ohio, and one of his clients is a food truck, and they posted a social media post yesterday to that point, and they wrote, and I'll just read this to you. Enjoy a juicy cheeseburger topped with fresh onions and crispy bacon. So does anybody dissect what is wrong with that? What I wrote back was it's a food truck, so they're mobile, right? We have no idea where they're at. There was no call to action. We have no way to get a hold of them. No phone number. You know what I mean? Who, what, when, where, why, and it's none of it was on there. And I was just and they wonder why they're struggling. So yeah, to your point, that the message is really important.
And for me, if the message is not made or established, then there's no blog, there's no podcast, there's nothing.
Yep. So I do see up here, Favour, and this isn't a paid. Haven't really known you before today. I think I follow you obviously I follow you in here, but I do see up here, it says hire your SEO agency for AI visibility. What services specifically are you offering, and how can people work with you?
Thank you so much for asking. So what the link is up here is complimentary invitation to two platforms, or two things. Two things are going to happen. The first thing is, once you click at the top, you're going to be able to decide and let me know which type of content that you want to know about, because I do send out emails every month at least once. I don't even blast a lot of emails. The most I would do is probably 4 or 5 if I have to, and they are segmented, but majorly it's between 1 to 2. And in those emails, they're very packed and they're very intact, where you're able to learn more about the things that you can be able to do when it comes to working with me or working with our agency. And also you get emails about information like this, where you get insights that you can actually read through, because I send screenshots, I send really good data. I make sure that I show my proof. I used to do this on Clubhouse, where I'll be live on Zoom. I'll also be live in a Facebook group, and I'll also be live here on Clubhouse. Back in 2020, 2021, Dr. Fashion remembers those days too. So I've been doing this, and I'm like, okay, let's bring it back again. But this time around, it's going to be very specific. So you get the emails. So that means you join our community. I send it out to at least 8 to 10,000 people, because there are 2,000 people on my LinkedIn newsletter and about 8,000 people in the community, and we're growing. This year is going to even grow even more. And you get those emails. And then what happens is you now get redirected to my calendar, where you now get on a call with me, and we schedule a 30 to 45 specific minutes on just a complimentary call, that we get to talk, get to know each other. But the questions that you're going to fill out before we get on the call will let me know exactly what you need, because there are a lot of things that we provide: website design, management, podcast production, distribution. It also goes into Pinterest management and marketing. If you need consultation as a business, if you run a business, if you need training with your team, if you need any of those type of things that we're able to do it, we can do that for you. Also with SEO involved, we're able to create a whole map for you that allows you to create your schedule based on the AI visibility map. And if you don't know how to get there, we can do the keyword research for you, build into your digital marketing, whatever industry you're in. We've worked with massage therapists, we've worked with healthcare institutions, we've worked with architectural design firms, we've worked with real estate, we're everywhere. We worked with food. Right now I talked to a private chef yesterday in Florida, and I'm in Houston. So it's always connections everywhere, and I do this organically. We don't run ads. So this is pure organic, and we connect with people. Last year we were able to connect to about 100 businesses, and we closed about 45. So we had a 45% close rate. And this year, we're going to even do more than that, because I did the numbers and I was like, okay, now I understand exactly what we're doing. We're doing 6 figures consistently each year, and I understand the formula. Now let's scale it up a little more, because I realized most of the businesses that didn't close with us is because they didn't have the time or the money, or both. So this time around, we're like, make sure that as you're leaving to decide whether you have the time or money for either or, we're going to leave you with something that you can think about, which is an audit. So now what we do is, this year we've introduced an audit. So either you're going to work with us for 3 months, or you're going to leave with an audit that you can get after you get a complimentary audit over what you've been able to see. For example, there's a client that we worked with, and they needed help with their website because they're not getting any traffic. So we were able to identify the problems they had technically, and now they are ranking in about 5 locations. They're brick and mortar locations, and they're competing with Home Depot and all these big, companies. So
Fantastic.
yeah, so just click the link and, get on the call. We can talk, share pricing, let you know everything that we do. And we're able to make sure that you have a business that starts from scratch. And for small businesses, we've done it in a very good way that's very exciting. So for small businesses, just to give you like a scoop of the ice cream, let me say it that way, because it's lunchtime and it's kind of hot somewhere, and it's probably cold somewhere too, and it's icy. Either way, when you think about your business and you get an email from me that has a video attached, you'll get to see how your website looks like from the search index platform, or the search index eyeball, or 30,000 viewpoint. If you've never seen it before, you will. Because what we do is we check if you have broken links on your website, if we're going to check how you're ranking, if you lost any backlinks, or what's your authority score like, the whole 9 yards. You're going to get that information complimentarily. You get it for free. You get it right there. And then you decide what you want to do with that information. And then if you want an audit, that audit is now going to be for $500 as a small business. And then you can now decide to do $3,500 for the quarter, because it's going to be $1,000 a month. So you can either do $1,500 for the first month and do $1,000, make it $3,500 for the quarter, or you can just say, okay, I just want the audit at $500, and I'll do what I need to do, and we can get on a call within a week, and you can implement everything that is within that audit, so that you can now know what to do it on your own or with your team. So we've made it very flexible, that either you're going to do it with us, or you're going to do it with somebody else, or you're going to do it with your team, or you're going to do it by yourself. But either way it goes, you're going to have something to go back with, so that you don't leave empty. You leave with information, because that way you're able to decide, are you going to spend money in this domain every year and keep adding up your overhead costs, or are you going to flip that and let it pay itself over time based on how you're able to, disseminate your business. So it's really up to you. But at the same time, I give you value, I give you instructions, I give you things that you can do. And even the person I connected with in the UK today, she was telling me that I've never met her before. We just met from LinkedIn, but first time meeting an actual virtual call. And she said, hey, before we get any further, thank you so much for what you're talking about, because I did an episode about schema, and she's implemented that for her business. And this is somebody I'm talking to that's all the way in the UK. So my podcast is in 156 countries. We have over 600 episodes.
Oh, it's good for you.
Thank you.
What's it called?
It's called We Don't Play.
Love it. I love it.
Thank you.
And that's on all the major networks, right? I'm assuming
all 40 plus stations. So you just type in We Don't Play, or type in SEO expert, type in anything that's going to be related to SEO based, and you'll see it there.
Well, Favour, I feel like I've kind of monopolized the room, but I did raise my hand to come up here. You and I will definitely be talking. So just this was not a wasted effort.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Wanting to make sure that at least you're aware. And, if anyone has any question, you can always reach out and let me know if you have any questions. But as your business we scale it up. We make sure that we have 3 tiers for you. So depending on your tiers, it goes up all the way to about 5,000 plus. And it just depends on where you are, but we want to make sure that anywhere you are in the business, as a business, if you know that in a year you're making an X amount of money and you're putting 10% to your marketing budget, which corporations are doing, businesses are doing, they're putting percentages of budgets into their marketing and advertising. And as a business, if you know that that's 10% and you want to accumulate about 1% of that, how is that 1% going to give them 20% back or give them a yield of even 2% back? So that's a metric that you have to decide as a business, but we're going to help you get there and make sure that you can do that on your own if you need that support. So click the link above, get your emails, get connected. If you want to go further, book a call after you get redirected so that we can get on a discussion, talk about all the things that you need. You get all the information that you have, and we'll make that going for you easy, smooth, seamlessly, and most importantly, effectively, because at the end of the day, your business needs people like you to thrive, and we need you to also shine in this world that is very open to everyone. There are about 1.1 billion websites, and we're over 8 billion people. So if 16% of 1.1 billion websites are only seen or indexed, yet over 92% of pages that are websites are not indexed, now you're dealing with at least 7 to 8% of a value exchange that really depends on how you're able to justify that as a business. So Eventbrite Marketing SEO has been live and loaded. I've given you 2 scenarios, a free event and a paid event. Focus on your titles. When you're selling online tickets, focus on your descriptions, focus on your anchor text, focus on your hyperlinks, focus on the data within, focus on adding YouTube, focus on putting these things there. They've even given you agendas. They've given you FAQs to put there. So add these things and add all those elements, because those are elements of surprise, literally. And if you're able to do that consistently with your business, then eventually someone's going to find out that, hey, I like what you're seeing, I like what's going on, and it will help. The person that I talked about that has made her 10, I would call it the 10 seats. Right now, I refreshed the Eventbrite and now it says 97 page views. So she's still getting more page views, even though the event has been sold out. That's why I was telling you guys earlier that as you're listening to this, even if the event has closed or even if the event has ended, you're still going to get page views for that same event. And if you have a profile that has more events like those in the forthcoming months and you schedule ahead of time, 3 months out, 6 months out, 12 months out, you're golden. So do this for yourself, right? It's possible. I think it can be done. And it's a free platform, so you can do it. But if you need strategy, if you need implementation, if you need all the good stuff that we talk about here when it comes to being specific and saving your time, money, and energy, then book a call. Let's get on a conversation. Let's talk. And I look forward to connecting each and every one of you. Thank you for being here, Sunny. Thank you, Tarika, Shiko, Ishman, Div, Danny, and everyone who also came into the room. Appreciate each and every one of you. Have a blessed day. And I look forward to seeing you in the next room. Talk to you later. Bye. If you have reached this point of the episode, I just want to say thank you so much for listening to the We Don't Play podcast show. I hope this has helped you, given you some insight, because every time I come on here or anytime I bring somebody on here, a guest, a speaker, anyone that is of relevance to you listening is always going to give you educational value, definitely entertainment value, and most importantly, empowerment value. So thank you for listening to the We Don't Play podcast show every day. And if you want to reach out to me, you know where to find me. Click the links in the description or go to info@playinc.online, info@playinc.online, and book a call. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk SEO. Let's talk marketing. Let's talk business. Let's talk scaling. And I look forward to meeting you and learning more about you and your business. Till we meet in the next episode, have a blessed evening, have a blessed day, night, wherever you are in the world. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye for now. And don't forget, Jesus loves you.